Alexandre Desplat, thank you so much for your time today. Your work on The Secret Life of Pets was kind of something different to what you've been doing over the last few years. What interested you in this material?
Well, just what you just said, that it was different. It was different because, I've been raised with a lot of jazz around me in the house, and also been influenced a lot by animation or cartoons, music of the 50s and 60s, and Scott Bradley and Carl Stalling, and of course Mancini. And I always dreamed of being able to write the score of an animation film where I could bring all these memories back. And when we discussed with Chris Renaud and he told me the movie was set in New York, and there was something that to both of us seemed almost natural to bring jazz into the equation. But as you know, it's not just jazz; it's jazz and orchestra, which is also something very exciting to do for a composer.
Mm. You mentioned that jazz influenced you quite a bit in this score, and that's obvious when listening to it. And that's what kind of sets it apart from a lot of other animated films and their scores that we've heard over the last few years. Was there anything in particular when bringing that jazz element into the orchestral element? Anything in particular that you found challenging in doing that?
Well, it's always the range of possibilities that it gives can also be a danger, because you don't want the music to become too sarcastic or comedic or too obvious. But by having all these tools, I mean the big band and the full orchestra, you can play with the colors, as I like to do, in a very subtle way. And the melody can be played by a clarinet, but a few seconds later by the strings or the cello. So there's a great range of possibilities that this combination offers, as long as you keep your integrity musically, to keep the music not just being what we call Mickey Mousing, doing blink, black, 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 but have some substance.
Yeah. For people who don't really understand how a composer gets involved in the process of filmmaking, can you give us a short understanding on your process and how the score is really put together and put in the film that we see on the screen?
Well, first of all, the composer is just one element of a collective artwork, which is cinema. And especially in animation, there are hundreds of animators working every day to create the characters under the supervision of a director. And the director is the one always in every film leading me. I hear the voices of the producers and I listen to them, but the main leader is the director. So number one is to listen to the director and try to understand his goals and being able to share these goals with him. Mm-hmm. Once you've done that, everything seems clear.
Yeah, everything falls into place once the director gives you that direction. And speaking about that, was there anything particular that Chris Renaud offered to you that you found really assisted you in bringing the score to life?
Confidence.
Yeah.
He gave me his confidence, which is very important. He spent many years preparing this project, and here comes the composer for two months and a half or something like that, and he can just completely mess up the process. So when the director trusts you and feels that you are pursuing the same goals, everything is fine. And Chris was a very, very benevolent on that level. And he was also ready to hear different ideas that I would suggest, right or wrong, but he was happy to hear them. And then we would decide if they were right or wrong. But he has an open mind, and that's also very important. When the director doesn't have this open mind, your life is a bit more miserable.
I can imagine. You've worked on animation before. Can you pinpoint any particular differences between working on live action and animation, or do you think it's a film no matter what?
Yes, it's a film no matter what, and I tend to think that the puppets, the drawings, whatever are the elements that are on screen, could be stop motion again on Mr. Fox, or it could be drawings, or else. It's the storyline and what make the characters lovable or hateable that is important for me. The only element which is different is the sound, because there's no, it's not a real life, a real world. So the music has actually a bit more freedom in its sounds. It can go, it never has to fight with reality. It's always in another world. So in the way I orchestrate, I think I take that I keep that in mind all the time.
Just so you understand, Gold Derby, we are an awards website. We talk mostly about awards and accolades for filmmakers. And for you in particular, it was quite an interesting story because for many years, many of us would be screaming, saying, Alexandre Desplat really deserves to be nominated for this, and he's so prolific, and you've done so much work, and we all really admire all of your scores. And then suddenly you started becoming quite popular with the Academy in particular, and you were being nominated every year, and you eventually won, which was a real triumph for you when you won for Grand Budapest Hotel. Congratulations on that. And so I would just like you to talk us through the process of being nominated for an Oscar and how exciting that is, and then eventually winning for a score that you've put in so much effort into. What was that like?
Well, of course, being nominated for an award in America, but even in France or in Europe, or winning in a festival is always something which is nice, because it means that people like you and you prefer being liked than being liked. When it's people of your own professional environment, it's even better, because they kind of judge everyone with a lot of accuracy and not much benevolence usually. So being nominated every year for so many years at the Golden Globes, at the BAFTAs, at the Oscars, has been really encouraging for me, of course, because I could feel that what I was doing, the hard work I was doing, and music I was writing was enjoyed. 2007 is the year where I had the first Oscar nomination. And the year I won also my first and only Golden Globe. And it was of course the first time, so it was very impressive. But each time, I must say, each nomination is very, very incredible, because there's so many names, so many films, so many composers that could have been asked to be in the shortlist, that could have been picked up. That being in the shortlist is a huge achievement and a huge joy. What else can I say? And Grand Budapest happened to me very unexpectedly. I was really sure that my votes would split between Imitation Game and Grand Budapest. I was really not expecting anything 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think that it's the big orchestral score that will give you the accolade, and actually it was the opposite. It was a strange mix of instruments for us to, kind of score that got the award.
Yeah, I wondered, actually, I'm really glad you said that, because when you won that Oscar, I figured, you've written some really such amazing scores that we all are so recognizable, we love. And Grand Budapest is definitely one of those, but it wasn't something that we would generally say, yes, that's a Desplat score. And then you won the Oscar for that. I thought that was really, really interesting. So, and I'm glad that you kind of slightly agree with that. But anyway.
Yes, they gave me the Oscar for this score. I accept it.
Yeah, take it, absolutely. What's really interesting with composers as well is that there are so many artists and artisans that bring a film to the screen, and yet composers are really recognizable, just like actors and directors. A lot of us film fans are very loyal to certain composers and love their work and admire their work, and you're certainly one of those people for many of us. I'm wondering, though, what you think about that. There's almost a slight cult to film composers. You actually have a name that we recognize and follow. What do you think of that? Do you agree with that?
Well, I was a fan myself when I was in my teens. I was a film music fan. I would collect vinyls and watch movies again and again to learn how the music worked. So I can't blame anyone for doing that. It is a niche. It is a niche that people, get excited about and involved. And there's been so many great scores composed for the last, 80 years, since the 30s, that are fantastic music and listen to without the film. And I think when you're a composer, or a musician, or somebody who likes to listen to music, you can listen to these scores without the film and be still excited by the quality of it. And so, yes, I go for the cult.
I think we should go with that. Yeah, absolutely. Finally, now that you're doing press for Secret Life of Pets, it's a score that most of us believe is certainly in the running for various awards, Golden Globes, Oscars, and so forth. But are you working as well at the same time? Are you currently working on Luc Besson's new Valerian sci-fi project, or have you already done that? And what's next for you?
No, I've been starting Valerian for a few weeks now. Of course, it was pending. It was. Luc was waiting for me, so it's an incredible film. I think everyone will be really astonished. I don't know if you saw the teaser, but it gives a little taste of how masterful this film will be. It's fun, it's brilliant, it's smart, it's funny. It's a real trip. And I'm really excited about that movie. Yes, very, very, very.
Yeah, I think I'm very excited too. We all are very excited about that. Alexandre, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck in the upcoming award season. We expect to see your name listed quite a few times, and good luck with that.
Thank you.